Today we're making this gorgeous Mediterranean-inspired lemon lamb and oregano dish, which is delicious and super simple to make. We're going to start off using the Kenwood hand blender with the chopper attachment, and we're going to do sort of actually an Indian technique in terms of starting off with a curry. So we're going to blend some onions and garlic, and we're just going to give them a coarse chop. This is going to do all the hard work for us. We're just going to give it a little head start. And one of the reasons why I love using the hand blender and the chopper attachment for this specifically is it stops me crying in the kitchen by chopping loads of onions, so that's a really big bonus for me. Right, so we're just going to give a very coarse chop. So once down the middle and a couple more times, and straight into our chopper attachment, which we've already got the blade installed. Okay, now to this, we're also going to add 3 cloves of garlic. Let's break the garlic open, about 3 nice chunky cloves. Lid on that to stop my tears from rolling. And again, when you're doing garlic, a really easy way to peel them is you've got sort of the root end, if you like. Lay a flat knife, give it a whack to crack it, and if you just cut away that stalk end, that root end rather, you can just peel the garlic straight out really easily. So let's do that with those 3. And the reason why we're blending the onions and garlic together is it will give us a really thick, delicious and silky sauce that you won't achieve by just dicing or chopping onions normally and garlic normally. So we're going to give them a head start. Just chop these into quarters. And that's going to go straight into our chopper. I want to add some aromatics to this as well. So we've got some coriander seeds, which are great friends with lamb. So we're going to do a good couple pinches, that's about a tablespoon. We've got some dried oregano, and again about a tablespoon of that. This is the headline flavours, are just lemon and oregano, so we're going to go heavy on those. We're going to add some more of that later. We're going to add a pinch of salt. That's partly for seasoning, it's also partly to act as an abrasion. So as that's blending, it's almost like a sandpaper. It's going to help grind the stuff down, which will give us a nice fine puree. So this is it. So let's pop our attachment on, secure. Couldn't be easier. Pop your Kenwood appliance in. We'll start off, you've got to speed a dial on here, and we're going to start off lower and then speed up as we go. Okay, so we're just going to pulse at first to get it going. And you can see as it's starting to chop, the bottom's going to go and the top takes time to get through. So we can turn the speed up a little bit now. You can see that it's doing all the work for you. Let's stop there and have a look. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to add a splash of olive oil. This for 2 reasons. The olive oil is going to help fry this in the pan. It's also going to loosen it up in here a little bit. And this is all about eyeballing it, okay? This isn't a prescribed amount, so just a glug, about a second. 1. Back on with this. And pulse. You can see it's spinning a lot easier now. It's got some moisture in there. That's done. So let's have a little sneak peek of what it looks like. Fabulous. You can see there that we've got a lovely puree to it. We've still got a little bit of texture and a few chunks there of some of the spices and the onions and garlic, which will be perfect when we start cooking. So we'll leave that and we're going to start to fry that in a moment. In the meantime, we're going to prepare our lamb. The star of this show, besides our beautiful lemon sauce, is this beautiful lamb neck fillets. So these are a really cheap cut of meat. They make a wonderful as a slow cooked dish as well. But for today, we're going to treat these like a steak. So we're going to sear them, we're going to have them rare, and it's got so much flavour, they're absolutely divine to have. And again, we're keeping this really simple. And that's part of the sort of the Mediterranean vibe of cooking. It's about great ingredients, let them do all the hard work for you. So we're going to season this just with a pinch of salt. Both sides. And it's important when you're seasoning to be really liberal, because 50% of this is not going on the lamb, and it's just the exterior of the meat. So it's not getting consumed within the interior of it. So get liberal so you can taste this. We want some black pepper. Again, with a pinch of oregano, because this is going to be a theme that runs through our dish. Pat that down, turn them over. We've already put salt, so just a bit of pepper. Little sprinkle of oregano. Again, pat that down. Now for our sauce, we don't want it to be watery, we want a bit of thickness to it. So we're going to dust these in a little bit of flour before we sear them. And then when we reintroduce them to our dish later on, that will help thicken and give us this beautiful silky sauce. So just a pinch of plain flour. Not too much. Turn them over. And that's our lamb done. Let's get cooking. Right, so our lamb neck fillets have been seasoned. We're going to add a splash of oil to a hot pan. And now we're going to sear these, and we're going to treat them like a steak. So nice and hot. Right, don't move them about, don't muck about with them. We're just going to let them cook about 2 minutes each side, and then we're going to finish them off in a little while once we've got the sauce done. So after you've had a couple minutes, turn them over. And that's what we're looking for, is that lovely crust on it, a really nice charring. And all of that colour that appears, the caramelisation of those sugars, which is called the Maillard effect, is what's going to give us a load of flavour. So we're going to keep all that oil and that juice is going to stay in the pan for when we cook the sauce, which just again, that gives us another layer of flavouring. Okay, so you want to turn them over a few times just so we can get all the sides coloured. If they're leaning over, just rest them on the sides of the pan. Give them a bit of balance. And we don't need to cook these all the way through, we're just giving them sort of the outer exterior of it, a really nice bit of colour, and then we'll finish them off once we've got the sauce in the pan. It smells so good, doesn't it? Right, so now they've got a lovely bit of colour on. These will be raw in the centre still. So we're just going to take these out. We're going to let them rest. Now it's time to turn the heat down. We're not going to take any of that oil out. We're going to use that as part of our seasoning for the sauce that we're going to make now. Oh, it's got a lovely freshness for that garlic and those olives in there. So we've got the pan. We've still got all the juices in the oil that we've cooked our lamb in. We're not going to clean that. We're going to keep that as is. We've just taken it off the heat. We need the temperature to drop a bit now. We don't want to burn the pureed onions and garlic. So we're just going to put this straight in. So first thing, just take out your blade. Put that to one side, and then we can just tip everything straight into the pan. Okay, so we added a little bit of olive oil when we made our onion and garlic puree, and we've had some residual oil left over from the lamb. So even though it looks dry, we're not really going to add much more olive oil to this. We'll give it a very small splash, but that's it. So just probably a tablespoon. And you can see that this has given us a really lovely consistency. So what we're doing now on a low heat, we're just cooking this out. So what we don't get is that sort of really strong rawness of raw onions or garlic. So we just want to cook all this out to cook it. So low heat, and just leave it for sort of 5-6 minutes until when you smell it, you don't get the smell of raw onions or garlic. And so you'll know when that happens, just keep smelling. Let's add a splash more oil. So this technique of pureeing onions and garlic is something I use a lot if we're making an Asian type dish. It makes us a really good base for a curry. And what happens is it gives us this beautiful puree, which is a great thickener to our sauces. And so we're using that same sort of technique, but this time for a lovely Mediterranean flavour. So with those onions and the garlic in there and that oregano, we're going to add lots of lemon juice to this, and then a bit of chicken stock, which is going to give us some sauce for it, and it's going to be delicious. Right, so you can see as we've been cooking this down, a lot of the moisture has started to evaporate, the onions are losing that rawness, and you can see the colour started to change now. It's gone from sort of quite white and opaque to a much more sort of greener colour is starting to come through. So that's indicating that it's getting close to being cooked. If you're unsure, the easiest way is just to take a tiny little piece on a spoon. And that's good. You shouldn't taste of raw onions or garlic. It should taste like cooked onions and garlic. And so we're probably about 1 more minute away from that being done. Right, so you can see that this is starting to clump together really nicely now. And the colour's changed. It's gone a really deep, deep green. Which is our indication that this is cooked. The onions and garlic are out. So now we're just going to add a bit of chicken stock. We're going for about a cup at first, so 250 mils. Stir that in. You can see how that sauce is already thick, and that's the magic of using the chopper utensil and giving us that sort of puree that we've cooked out. And look at that, that's fantastic. Right, so we're going to add a fraction more of our chicken stock, just because this is going to evaporate as we cook. So we've probably done about a cup and a half, so about 400 ml, give or take. And so at this point, we're now going to reintroduce our lamb. So this has been resting, we've seared it. You can tell it's still virtually blue on the inside, so it's not cooked. But we can serve these like steaks, so we're going to have them rare. But we're going to pop these back in to warm through. If you get any juice left over on the plate, make sure you pour that into it as well. It's all flavour that we want. And so now we're just going to let these simmer for about 5 minutes. Lid off, so it will evaporate, which will condense our sauce as well, which will make it even stronger, the flavour. And after about 5 minutes, we'll just turn the lamb neck fillets over, just to make sure it's warm on all sides, and then we'll be ready to serve up. Right, so we've had a couple minutes of these simmering, so they've started to warm through from the ground up, if you like. So we're now just going to turn them over, just to warm them through. We want to probably serve these a little bit pink. You can see that sauce, we've left it uncovered because we want the sauce to reduce. It's starting to thicken beautifully. I mean, it smells amazing. I'm already salivating and can't wait to try it. So let's give it a couple more minutes, then we're going to be ready to serve. Right, so we've had a couple more minutes now. These are about done. And you can tell by when you push down, there's a bit of give, there's a little bit of bounce, but not too much. And the secret with this dish is really it's about the lemon as well. So these are the Mediterranean flavours. And the headline flavours are really only the oregano and the lemon. So cut yourself a lemon, turn the heat off, and just squeeze one in. And the reason we're putting the lemon in at the end of the cooking, once we've turned the heat off, is if you put the lemon in at the start, it can make the dish start to go a bit bitter and it will lose that freshness. And so what we're getting from the lemon is that lovely acidity, which is going to cut through all that lamb. It's going to give us a lovely freshness to the dish as well, which is really going to sort of elevate it. But if we put it in at the start, it could go quite bitter. So that's done. So let's take this off the heat. Let that rest, and now we're going to make our lovely scordalia to go on the side. Right, so our spuds are done, they're cooked, we've drained them, we've just let them steam dry for a little bit while we've left them in the sieve. So now we're just going to put them into a bowl, and this bit's really cool. So we're going to make a lovely skordalia, which is a Greek dip, which we're going to add as an accompaniment to our lovely lamb that we've made. And to do that, we want the most creamiest of mashed potato possible, and we have just the thing for it. So we've got our Kenwood hand blender, and we've got this really cool adapter, so our gear adapter, which clicks in. And to that, we've got our masher. Now this is fantastic. So you just line up the arrow and the line, and that's in place. You've got the 3 components. And what this gear adapter does is it slows down the masher. So rather than blending the potatoes, which will make them quite elastic and not that nice, this will give us a beautiful creaminess to it. And you can see how slow it goes by here. And there's nothing more to it. Let's mash. And you can see as you push down, it comes straight out the top, this beautiful puree almost. And it's soft, it's light, it's not elastic in any way. You never mash potatoes the same way again. Look at that, incredible. So fluffy, amazing. Right, we're gonna keep that on for this. So Skordalia, at its heart, it's about a lot of olive oil, a lot of garlic and lemon that goes into this. So we're going to use our mash adapter just to bring all that together. So first we're going to crush our garlic. So we've got 2 big garlic cloves, rest the knife on it, bit of a crack, cut the root end off, and that just peels that skin straight off. We'll do the same for the other one. Right, now, to crush the garlic, we're just going to give this a coarse chop. Once we've broken that down a bit, we're now going to add our salt. So a good pinch of salt. And this isn't for seasoning, although it will help. This is more about acting as an abrasion. So the same way we did with our pureed onions and garlic earlier, this is just going to help us break all this garlic down. And so just with the tip of the knife, push down and slide. And you can see in no time at all, we're getting this lovely puree of garlic, which means we'll get lots of flavour of garlic running sort of consistently through the dish. But what you won't get is a big mouthful or chunk of it, which would be a bit unpleasant. So we've got our lovely garlic paste here. Give it one last chop. Straight in. Let's season that as well with a pinch of salt. Also needs a bit of lemon to cut through this. So just one half of lemon would be enough. And also a really lovely bit of olive oil, and we need that to cut through this, and that's part of the dish. So you probably want about 1/4 cup, which is about 60 ml. And we're going to use our attachment again, because it's quite delicate, the masher, and it doesn't blend it, we can use this to fold everything together. So push it into the centre, and then just slowly mash. Oh, it smells so good already. Okay, that's done. So, little knock, scrape off all the potato from the top. So we want to get all the potato out from inside, and a really handy way to clean this, which is great. Unplug the appliance, just so it's not on, and then leaving it all attached, you can see a little padlock, which is sort of locked and unlocked, and if you just turn it on the unlocked way, that comes straight out. So easy to clean and so easy not to miss all that beautiful mashed potato. And so to dismantle it, couldn't be easier. Just one quick turn takes off the masher. Press the 2 buttons to release the gearing adapter, like so, and you're done. Right, so this is our Skordalia done. We're just going to fold this together now. So spoon, fold it together. And it wants to be quite a loose consistency, so you want to add more olive oil to this. And this really is part of the dish. It's very much a traditional Greek dish, so another probably 60 ml in there. And then, as always, taste. A fraction more salt. Oh. Delicious. So that's our dish done, so let's get it served up. That beautiful lamb, with that gorgeous sauce. And then we'll just finish with a little pinch of parsley. That's our Greek lemon lamb done with our gorgeous Skordalia on the side. I hope you enjoy.